Welcome back from the break, guys, as we've got one match to play out here for APAC South. It is, of course, Wildcard versus Giants in, well, what usually would be a pretty big game. Unfortunately, though, Raven, it is, of course, the battle for last place.
It is the battle for last place, and such a weird feeling to be saying that about Wildcard and Giants, but they've just had a rough stage. Now, Wildcard, of course, they did have their sudden loss of Diesel early on, and that meant that there was going to be some natural disruption to the way they'd been playing. But Giants, I think, is probably the biggest shock to be talking about as in terms of bottom two team.
I'm kind of surprised at how poorly they have performed. I think we saw from Luna on Tuesday night after their loss, we saw him talking on Twitter. I mean, granted it was to the Knights, but he was saying on Twitter that, you know, like they just can't figure out, they can't isolate what the problem is this season, this time round. And unfortunately, it has cost them everything in stage one. It's not something that's going to continue to cost them, or at least I hope it's not. But when you look at the roster, like, just the star power, the names alone should terrify you. They just have been sleeping for far too long.
Well, if Luna can't figure it out, can you figure it out, Raven?
I just feel like that maybe it's to do with the meta. Just something about their playstyle is not matching up to the way that things have changed, and so other teams have maybe adapted better than them. Honestly, it's pretty tough. And on top of that, you know, Hysterix has still been having a standout season. He was stage MVP for multiple stages last year. He was on track to be stage MVP again for this stage. It's just something else is not clicking in this roster. Makes me feel like it's like an internal, you know, back of stage thing that we just don't get to see a whole lot of. It's definitely concerning, but again, I think I said it last week. It feels like there's just going to be some moment where things click and they'll just be back.
So you hope, I guess, because, you know, I know how disappointed they would be in their season. I know how disappointed we are in their season. But there is obviously there is always a shining light. And I guess, like you've already mentioned, you know, Hysterix is still playing incredibly well. I think that they still have that entire roster that can really just change on a dime, like you're saying, Raven. I'm not really going to reiterate too much more. But this is a game that they just can't afford to let slip. To come last place in APAC South in stage one, it would just be devastating.
I won't let you I won't get you to reiterate much further there, Mannix, so let's go and have a look at their opponents. Of course, Wildcard Gaming, and you can give us something a bit fresh here. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be good news fresh.
Well, I mean, it depends what you think is fresh. Is that what you said? Fresh, I think, is what you said there. Good, solid. But I do think that there is something to the discussion around Wildcard. At least we have a really strong talking point in the fact that, you know, Diesel's gone now and Silex has had to step up. But at the same time, you still have Silex putting in work for the team. You know, he's top 5 for plants, and I think that maybe something you can walk away with. Emo Rin, surprisingly, has had an incredible stage 1 performance. I don't mean in... Okay, that's a really bad way of putting it. It's not surprising, okay? I'm sorry, it's not surprising. We know that Emo Rin is incredible, but it's just around the roster that has been, all the issues that they've been having, the performances that they've been putting in. You know, it hasn't really shone the best light on them as a team. But they have taken down the Knights, which, you know, are now second and kind of were looking to be that team to take the fight to elevate. So I don't know, man. Maybe there is still something to this roster with Silex on it, but I just don't see it at the moment.
Yeah, I can't see it either. And on top of that, it's been a bit of a strange stage because they still have incredible players. Like the remaining 4 roster, we talk about the loss of Diesel a lot, but the remaining 4 are nuts players. And that's what I think is the most baffling thing is it's a bit tough to stomach how far like the wheels have fallen off the cart. You know, like what happened to Oceanic MVP Geo? He's been playing pretty average, both in Oceanic Nationals and in APAC South. Their Xenox is greatly affected by that.
Yeah,
so,
we know what we know what Geo's like at his absolute best as well, and we know what Wildcard is like at their absolute best. And in a way, it's a little heartbreaking that both these teams are not at their best at the moment. Let's go and see though where they're going to be playing out their final game of the season here for stage 1 of APAC South. It's Cafe kind of nice that we're going to get some variety tonight. So I'm predicting 7-3 to Giants, Raven.
Going the 7-3 trend. I like it.
Yep.
Look, I feel like this is probably leaning towards the Giants. Cafe has been played a lot by Wildcard, especially early in the stage. Just quickly scanning those results. They did have a loss tonight. It's 4-7 on it. They got destroyed by Q-Confirm 2-7. That was way back in the first game for APAC South. So things have changed a little bit for them. They've had a lot more scrims with Silix, for example. So maybe things are clicking more, but Giants have always been a fairly decent Cafe team.
I just don't see Wildcard being able to pull out a result here. I don't know what map would have given me confidence, and please, for anyone at home, you would know that Wildcard was the ANZ team. We put them all up on a mantle, we really were talking about them for such a long time, but regardless of where Giants are in their current standings or where they are in their mentality, I just cannot foresee the issues that Wildcard have been showing, that they have any chance on really any map other than like a chalet or something where Giants haven't been performing the best necessarily. I just really don't foresee them being able to turn it around. Having said that, if Wildcard do some crazy things, if they get aggressive like we've been talking about all season long, Raven said it, they have 4 incredible players. If they allow them to kind of run freely, I think still no, Giants game all the way.
There's a lot of ifs, buts, maybes in there, Manic, but one thing we do know is that both of these teams haven't found much success this season. One of them will, though, here in Cafe to close out the season and maybe a stepping stone going into Stage 2. Let's throw it over to your wonderful casters once again. It's Cousin Dev.
Thank you, Xenox. Now, this is the match that we have been waiting for all season. Since the start, we have been wondering who will be better, Wildcard or Giants. We thought it would be the match for first place, but funnily enough, it is the match to see who will end up at the bottom of the APAC South ladder. We know who's coming first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But who will end in 7th and 8th? It's going to be Giants versus Wildcard to save their pride, and the battleground is Cafe.
Oh, it's a battle of the ages for absolutely nothing, but I'm sure it's going to be a fun game nonetheless. In fact, there is something on the line, and that's pride, and we know that teams at this level value that very, very much. Fun fact, Dev, do you want to hear a fun fact?
Oh, I would love to hear a fun fact.
Do you want to know when the last time these two teams played one another?
Oh, when was the last time these two teams played one another?
It was the Pro League season finals in season number 10, the APAC finals, October 20th, 2019. So an absolute lifetime ago. I remember sitting at home watching that game. That's how long ago that was. But wow.
I remember actually casting it because I've casted a LAN. Unlike someone else in this current duo cast.
What's a LAN?
I don't think anyone knows these days, not for the last year and a half. 2019, October. Man, that was so long ago. But here it is. Wildcard versus the Giants.
Well, look, Wildcard have been merciless in this game. Despite it only being for the bottom position, they've still decided to ban the Montang off the board, so Paul Luda won't be able to bring him to the table. And the Giants, on the flip side, bring their regular bans as well, one Projectile Denial and the one Mai, and a Thatcher as well. So I guess so far nothing's really standing out as being too crazy, and maybe an indication that the teams are going to take this game pretty damn seriously.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Like, neither of these... It's one thing to be second last on the standings, and it's another thing to be last on the standings. I mean, let's be real here. Like, Wildcard have been... Like, 2020 was their best, most dominant ever year of Rainbow Six within OCE. Like, they won everything that was to win, right up until January when they started to slip off. And Giants, I mean, it's almost the same story, right? They were constantly vying for number one in APAC North with Cloud9, and they just overall looked like the best team in APAC. Coming into APAC South, there was a bit of drama, guys. There was a bit of, why is Giants coming to APAC South when they were, arguably the best team? And now they're ending up potentially on the bottom. Like, imagine the egg on their faces, should that happen. Like, what?
That's
That's what teams are playing for, man. That's what these teams are playing for. If you end up last, yeah, you might not get any more, like, you're not getting playoffs or whatever if you come second last, but at least you're not in last place.
Yeah, and that's all it counts for. In all seriousness, there is literally no difference that I know of, unless you want to correct me, between finishing 7th and 8th in the regular season. There's just no difference.
Oh, there is.
Oh, how much?
$500 USD difference,
Well, that's big.
actually.
That is big. That is a couple of...
That
what could you buy with that? I don't know.
ED could probably actually buy a proper chair.
Maybe. Maybe I could buy a plane ticket to a LAN. We'll never know. Speak easy though, he's spawn peeking over towards the White Hall, playing the Aruni. On the board. Vinny is aware though, holding that with the Yana, the 2x in hand. Wow, actually, it does feel quite surreal seeing these two teams up against one another. Honestly, it has been so long. And the fact that it doesn't count for such a high standard it's honestly still difficult to comprehend, right?
It's just criminal, isn't it? The fact that these two teams are playing, but they're not playing for like a spot at a major or anything like that. They're playing for to not be the last team, to not have that egg on their face, to not be embarrassed to that degree. What's funny, guys, is last year, like, I was casting APAC North. I wasn't casting as much OS, but just by looking at how dominant Wildcard were, like, I thought that Wildcard, because they were just so good in OS, they were probably, like, I thought they would stack up really well against the APAC North teams. I thought Giants was the best in APAC North and in APAC as a whole, and I thought that Wildcard was the second best in APAC, even better than C9. Like, by my predictions of last year, like, I rated these two as the best teams in APAC, and now they're at the bottom of APAC South. Like, that is just ridiculous.
And I guess even on a larger scale, as you mentioned, there was some discussions about the league format as it kicked off, and many think it might be top heavy with the SEA teams, but as we stand right now, the top 4 locked in. It is half OS and half Southeast Asia, so it couldn't literally be more balanced. And it's also Southeast Asia 1st and 4th, and OS 2nd and 3rd, so it is literally perfectly balanced.
As all things should be. Let's see if Wildcard can balance this roam clear. There's Hysterics going down. The man at the top of the APAC South MVP has been shut down in this first round, but in classic Wildcard fashion, time is ticking away.
Jordan low on HP in towards the site as well. He could play critical role late round as he has a Nitro Cell in hand. I thought that spray was him, but that was Geo off screen dropping Speak Easy, and now Jordan's job is even more important, but Pat is probing your Zero off screen to find one. Utility in the face of Pat might slow him down, but Emo Rin, he doesn't slow down. He finds one, but he gets traded back.
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. I don't think he can do it. No, he can't. He gets taken down in the end, and it's a solid first round for Wildcard.
It certainly was solid. I mean, that that was quite convincing, really. It ended up in a 3 versus 1, and if it wasn't for some nice shots from those Giants players, that would have been a steamroll. Wildcard have certainly come into this game saying, look, we're here to make a statement. Everyone here was favoring Giants. I mean, you heard Manic in the pre-show. Like, Wildcard, they have an excuse for playing this poorly, right? But throughout this entire season, we've still favored Giants to be the #1 team. Like, after they lost to Elevate, we're like, okay, maybe Giants is #2 team. And then Giants started to lose to everyone, and they're like, well, maybe they're still somewhere in the middle. Surely they're still above Wildcard, right? Like, Wildcard lost Diesel, and that completely threw off everything from their scrim schedule, their motivation. They're playing with Silex, who, funnily enough, is currently working 2 other jobs at the moment, and still somehow playing on this roster, just filling in due to the roster transfer restrictions. Like, Giants, by all rights, should be the favored team here.
That little spiel there made an interesting question pop into my head, and you might know the answer, Dev, because you've been around since the dinosaurs. Has Silex played against this team previously?
Yes, so he was... No, he was coaching. He was actually coaching back in the day. And look, off the top of my head, these two teams never met at APAC finals in the past. Maybe the exceptions to that would be like the Raleigh major qualifier or the Paris major qualifier. But, you know, we're talking, that's 2019, 2018. Like, that is a long damn time ago. I'm actually curious now. While you talk, I'm going to go look it up.
How did I know you were going to chase that up? Well, let's see how this round plays out here. I like this setup from Speakeasy. Playing the Goyo shield, the Vulcan shield inside of Backstore to reinforce that position. Of course, it is a top stairs or top floor defense here from the Giants. Luna roaming below as well. Wildcard though, it looks like they're going for a pretty standard take with the West Repel, and we would expect that sort of sweep between these two methodical teams.
And just to hark back to what we were saying, I was right. The Paris Major Qualifier in 2018. Atletico Esports, which went on to become Wildcard, headed by Silix, the team captain, played against the remaining players on this roster would be Luna Metal Ysera and Hysterics. The other two are newer. So there you go. That is the last time Silix played against these players right here. That 2018, nearly 3 years ago.
Look, I think it's probably safe to say that his power has only multiplied over the years. The man is absolutely cracked in the rank stack. Meanwhile, though, a bit of action going down towards Pixel. It's Jordan pinched behind a deployable shield inside of the bathroom, but he manages to fall back. Speakeasy finds a pick as well, and it feels like Wildcard are finding it quite tricky to enter Lounge.
I really like these long angles held here with the ACOG on Speakeasy. This is really the trial and tribulation of attacking this cafe top floor. It's all about defending those shields, right? And Goyo and the smoke really, really leveraging that. Pat's got a lovely angle. Oh, he sees the head. Just doesn't land the shot. So Speakeasy, funnily enough, moves his shield and fights back to Pat, who does win the fight and evens up this man count.
Leaves it in a 4 versus 4 as Wildcard begins to slowly gain control. Pat needs to be mindful of pillars down below. If he exposes his head, it'll probably get taken right off. Geo as well is on the skylight covering that position as Hysterics repositions himself. With 30 seconds to go, Wildcard will need to try and convert this to site control, but it looks like there's still quite a bit of utility that hasn't been dealt with.
But as such, this will be a very difficult execute for Wildcard. Silix with Diffuser in hand starts to push on through, and Imarin looking to flank from the stairs. He loses his life. The Diffuser has gone down, and it looks like it's all on Pat. Wildcard fallen to pieces, and there is no reason for Giants to peek because Ysera can just zap Pat to death. And Giants reply with the first round of their own.
Does feel like we don't see enough Maestro these days, or definitely not as much as we used to, particularly in the old util soak meta. So good to see it make a little bit of a comeback in what feels like, you know, that throwback match, if you would. Either way, though, scores one apiece, and Giants will go down to reading.
You know what? We've already talked about one retirement game today, which was It Be Style. God bless. He had his final game. He unfortunately lost, and he didn't manage to get his 2.0 KD. But that was his retirement game. We have another double retirement day here. Re-retirement for Silix. This is his last game with the team. Of course, failing to qualify for the APAC South playoffs. And, you know, I've heard whispers that Wildcard are, of course,
Picking up Penku? Was it?
Picking up somebody.
Was it Penku?
I will not...
Oh, I wasn't meant to say it, sorry.
Look, guys, you're just not meant to say that on broadcast, dude. Well, we don't know who Wildcard are picking up, or do we? We'll have to wait and find out. But, yes, this is, of course, Silix's last game with the team. He's going to be going back to teaching university-level statistics like the absolute legend he is.
Maybe Wildcard should keep him as a part-time analyst then. That would make sense, right?
Well, I mean, he has been the team manager. They have an analyst, Flux.
True,
But
true.
Silix has been that team. Yeah, that's it, yeah. I heard that maybe they would be looking for more coaching staff. But, you know, there you go. Yeah, sorry, guys. You're going to have to cast a Xenox from now on.
Ah! No! That would be my worst nightmare, and look, for both of these teams. This stage has been a little bit of a nightmare.
Certainly has.
Now has an opportunity to bounce back. Wildcard again, establishing themselves on the roof for a Western map sweep. And it does always feel a bit like deja vu on Cafe Attacks. Very, very similar patterns from a lot of teams in most regions. And this matchup so far proving to be no different. I am keen to see, though, how much the Giants will contest. I thought Speakeasy maybe was going to go for a run out, but that won't be the case. Instead, he'll rotate an ADS back above to further fortify this position.
Yeah, I like that. I guess his job early round was just to see whether Wildcard were contesting the ground floor, and if they're not, then pick up his ADS and try and fortify that position at top white. Look at Geo, man. He is sharp. Looks like he's been hitting the Kovacs recently, and as he moves on into washrooms, he might just be able to get rid of that Banshee. Obviously risky to do so as he takes down that mute jammer and lets that drone go forth. There's actually no one top white right now. This is a serious potential for a play, but of course, Hysterics, ever vigilant, starts to put some pressure on.
Geo, though, is
Hello?
pretty cracked on the sticks and could find that pick. Yeah, Jordan taking quite a bit of damage and elects to fall off. And outside of Luna, it's basically clear for the attack to take it. Oh, Luna's going to be in a whole lot of trouble real quick. The flames engulf Backstory. He's forced back deep in towards the freezer, and surely Wildcard can swing on him.
Vinny cautious of top white. They don't know about Cocktail. Surely they predict Freezer. Such a common position. They destroyed that shield. That doesn't mean the player is gone. Luna! What? How do you lose that, Vinny? Oh, are you asleep at the wheel? Fortunately, there's a trade from the man himself. Vinny Tan, spam that can. 3 players left for Wildcard to find. As they are left reeling, Luna Metal is thanking his lucky stars that's, well, we may have spectated that one. So, but I won't tell. You know, I won't tell anyone. He got the kill. That's all that matters. 20 seconds left.
We can delete the VOD, Luna. Don't worry about it. We'll delete the VOD, brother.
I got your back. Pat starts to push on through. 15 seconds. See you later, says Ysera. What an angle. Ooh. He just does not miss. And Giants take that lead.
Ysera showing how to actually hit your shots there at the end of that round.
I don't think he learned that from Luna Metal.
So, I mean, look, Luna whiffing is one thing, but how did Vinny not see the big white indicator on the middle of his... do you get the white indicator on Pro League HUD settings?
Yeah,
maybe you don't.
You do.
You do? Yeah, so...
surely. I mean, I feel like I'm confident that you do, but at the same time, if I'm wrong, I'm going to look like an idiot.
Yeah, we'll let you confirm that one.
Surely we
Luna definitely was not running a suppressor. We can confirm that.
No.
So if bullet trails are enabled, then he definitely should have seen them. That was quite the peculiar gunfight, is the nice way of saying it.
Yeah. Well, not a great round there from Wildcard, but Giants, they have a second chance here to defend Kitchen. This was a really dominant one for Wildcard, though. When they won it, they found that opening pick, they converted to a 5v3, and then a great execute onto site, just engulfing that objective. But we are seeing the pattern continue, guys. Like, forever, Wildcard has been this slow and methodical team, and I feel like they're a bit less vigilant than they used to be in terms of how methodical they are. Like, they used to dot every I and cross every T. I feel like not always the case any longer. But one thing that has not changed is they really let that clock run down, don't they?
5 seconds left.
Yeah. And that was natural 6 months ago when the meta was the way it was, but it's been flipped on its head, just like the results are this season. Speakeasy flips outside, tries to find a pick, but seeks refuge back in towards.
It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, just a little bit ambitious there, especially
it's a big
given the magnification. But oh well, he gets away with it and doesn't take any damage, which is all right.
Well, it looks like Wildcard going for a full map take, rappelling up to the roof. My concern here is that this does take a lot of time. And if Giants just kind of loiter up top, shoot a couple drones, and then fall back, I feel like Wildcard will end up in a 5v5 with 40 seconds left and no drones once they finally clear this room.
X-Kairos rain out. I don't know where. I'm probably on the red wall, I would have to assume. Didn't get line of sight, but trying to use my ears to listen for where those explosions are going down. And in fact, it was the red wall being droned out now in towards Lounge. That's Emo, Rin, and Geo doing that hard work. Geo has been playing the entry for this team for a while, and I guess that's why he was brought on in the first place. Did such a great job, particularly last year, but he has found it a little bit trickier this year, and he'll be looking to redeem himself heading into stage 2.
Emo is a player that's just been so consistent for Wildcard, and lovely C4 there. Hysterics still keen to take this fight. A great weapon in close range. Surely there's a refrag coming through. Hysterics lands that shot. The refrag attempted, returning fire from Vinny, but look at this confidence from Hysterics, and just look at that team play. Giants always within arm's reach of their teammates, ready to refrag.
That leaves a minute on the clock now with the hatch open for Wildcard to formulate their execute. It will be a 3 versus 4, so it will be quite tricky, and there's quite a bit of utility potentially on the board here for the Giants that could prove costly for the attack. So your gates, potentially Black Eye cameras in the site as well, as there's Maestro Evil Eyes. A lot to contend with and not a lot of time to contend with that utility. Wow, what a terrible sentence, but hopefully the execute is a little bit cleaner.
Oh, it's just so hard now for Wildcard. No time. Nice usage of the Gun 6 there from Vinny, but he's about to walk dead into a crossfire. And that's it. Speakeasy takes his head clean off and ready and waiting for another person to contest. Alex is going to walk into that exact same crossfire. Hysterics found another kill from VIP. No refrag possible. That is Jordan to close the round, and Giants make a clean sweep of 3 defense rounds.
Nice double down there at the end of the round, and the Giants now feels like they're slowly taking control of this match. Again, heading into this one, despite it being not the strongest of seasons for them, you still have to back them in. But that is a tale that is echoed throughout the first stage and hasn't always rung true, so I guess you have to proceed with caution with the Giants at the moment. And this will be a test on whether or not they can actually close out a game.
You know what's crazy? Giants have only won 2 matches in APAC South out of 6 that they have played so far. You want to hear something funny about that? The only 2 matches that they have won were against Oceanic teams. They lost to every single Southeast Asian team. Elevate, 7th Heaven, and Q-Confirm.
And of course, those were the teams that they were competing against last year in APAC North. And outside of really Elevate, who did put up a good fight against them on a couple of occasions, they were pretty dominant against the Giants. They were just sweeping through everyone outside of Cloud9, right? So it is, I guess, maybe a good opportunity to hypothesize what has gone wrong over this period. I do like what Raven mentioned, that maybe it's just the meta is not favoring them. Some teams just do not suit particular metas. Giants, well suited to the methodical, slow, structured pacing of the 30-second meta. Maybe now that it's turned a little bit more aggressive, reliant on fragging and aggressiveness, it just doesn't quite suit them at the moment. But I think that this is a team that is adaptable, and in the long term, they can make it work. And there we go. There's a glimmer of it. You're zeroing a spore peak? All right.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to tell them that they're not capable of being aggressive and they're going to go and spawn peek for you. Poor Silex, though. He's probably like, get me off this damn team. I just got to go back to teaching maths.
Get me a calculator.
Calculate this, says Ysera. But, you know, just to go back to that point that you were saying, right, from Giants, I honestly, I don't feel like the meta is unfavored to them. Like, they are a team, I mean, Lunametal always told me, he considers them a team that they will adapt to play whatever playstyle they think will counter their opponents best. Like, they don't really consider themselves having a specific playstyle, albeit like whether it's aggressive or methodical. Like, they feel like they just go with the flow with whatever they think is best. And no, I would say that last year. I would agree with that. I mean, they're definitely capable of playing aggressively, but we just haven't seen them be successful with whatever playstyle they choose.
Almost thought that was Emo Rin getting the wallbang, but he was in fact on the rappel and clears Jordan over towards Pixel. Position has been retaken though. Speakeasy can shoulder pick that left and right, unlikely to be taken down, and in the process is gathering some nice information, but the counter intel there on the drone from Wildcard means that they know exactly where he's playing, and that he's here to stay.
No shield, but still eager to peek aggressively on that angle. Frost's 9mm is quite a powerful weapon in these long-range fights. He finds one great trade, though. Emo-Rin ever so consistent once again. Does need to cross to get that diffuser, but he can't suppress the aggression thanks to those ADSs, and Lunametal's going to double down.
Could be on for a big play here. Sprays and reveals his position though, so at least the sound cue has been given out to Emo-Rin, but with no air jabs left, they'll likely need to commit a drone to holding that if they so desire. But Luna's fallen back over towards top white, but with those angles could still pose a threat. Swings and finds one. Oh, narrowly gets a second, but Vinny steps up. He's now left in the 1v1. Hysterics over towards top white. Needs to try and play time. Vinny does have quite a bit to work with. 20 seconds left. Will he stick the plant?
A game of cat and mouse. Hysterics wants to make his footsteps heard, but now he has to retake. He wins those, lands that perfect headshot, deletes Vinny from the server. What better player to put in that position? Fantastic clutch.
Defenders disabled the diffuser.
Whoa!
Defender mission successful.
Hysterics plays on a really high DPI.
Or he has a DPI switcher.
Shh.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I mean, surely that's a DPI switcher.
I think, nah, he just plays on like 3200 normally.
Yeah,
like, that's what the gamers play on these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally play on 6400 because I'm pretty cracked.
Yeah, well, you do like nanometers for a 360, 1 nanometer for a 360. Is that your ratio there?
Yeah, it means I can hit flicks a little bit quicker, which is
That's good.
really
That's
helpful. I would recommend.
There you go. Pro tips from Gus.
Yep, don't take any tips from me. I'm gold 1 at the moment. Sorry, I just had to get that out of the system.
Your season's almost been as rough as Wildcard and Giants.
Defenders protect
Maybe not quite that bad. Maybe not quite that bad.
A chance at redemption here for one of these teams, and it is certainly looking now like Giants. They've just made 4 in a row. And, well, some of them have been close, some of them have not. That certainly was a close round, but put Hysterics in a 1v1 situation, and he's going to win those. Onus is definitely on Wildcard now. A 5-1/2 against them. I mean, that is... I feel like at that point, Giants are just uncatchable. There's no way Wildcard could come back from such a deficit. They need this round to keep themselves in this game. Keep in mind, Giants have never actually lost in overtime. They have almost all of their games, all but one, have been completed in regulation. They've only had 1 overtime game.
Speakeasy. Playing over towards White Stairs on the Goyo, getting a little bit cheeky with the pistol. Meanwhile, Wildcard will rappel up above and slowly start getting to work. Their goal, of course, will be to maintain control of top red, transition that in towards shop and lounge, and then slowly work their way across the bar all the way to cocktail. And that way, the likes of Gia with the skeleton key can get vertical lines of sight in towards the objective and start to clear these players and apply pressure. Did someone just drop the skylight? Or did I miss-see that? I surely missed that. Yeah, I did. Okay. Wow, that's super weird. I don't know. I'm seeing ghosts out here. Yes, Marshall on the obs. I know I'm going a little bit stir crazy. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Meanwhile, though, it is very, very straightforward here from Wildcard. No crazy drops as of yet.
There's the air jab to suppress that aggression. Wildcard, as they start to take top floor, it may well what you have been seeing. You may have seen the Yana dropping down the skylight, the Yana Gemini device. As that is currently...
I knew I saw something.
There you go. You're not crazy after all. Hello, Jordan's going crazy. Surely he gets punished. How does he make that work? Thankfully for Wildcard, Pat punishes him. Very cautious of a refrag. Giants are known for always having a response, and they do so as Luna trades onto Emo.
Geo on that buck, as I mentioned, looking to get control of Cocktail as Pat gets taken down. Geo as well will fall to the hands of Luna. It's Vinny and Silex to try and clutch up the dynamic duo. What can they do? Luna! He gets Silex, who gets caught off guard. It's now Vinny in the 1 versus 3 inside a pillar. This is winnable. I have a feeling that Vinny can pull off something special here, but no. Yazira's inside of sight will lock him out, and the Giants get that 5-1 lead as we close out the half.
Quite a dominant half at that for the Giants. 5 rounds in a row to answer Wildcard's opening. The Giants are so very close to not only overtaking Wildcard in the standings, but saving themselves from the humiliation of last place in APAC South. Imagine either of these teams being in last place. That's just... It's not just Giants, but it's Wildcard as well. You'd think that despite losing Diesel and the disruption to their practice schedule and to the whole team that would have resulted because of that, you still wouldn't think that Wildcard is a bottom APAC South team. But I think that just goes to credit how amazingly competitive APAC South has been. We underestimated teams like 7th Heaven, Q Confirm, Order, Knights, every one of these middle pack teams that honestly have just shone so brightly.
100%. It's been a huge season from so many teams in APAC South, and I'm sure those playoffs when the 3 regions, keep in mind, North, South, and South Asia, playoff in not too long, it's going to be an absolutely crazy event.
5 seconds to
So I look forward to that. But all eyes, of course, currently on the last match of the regular season for Stage 1. It's Wildcard and the Giants. It is the battle for supremacy at the bottom of the standings. The wooden spoon is lurking and looming for the team that does fall. And so far, it's looking like Wildcard might be the one to claim that spoon. It just has not been a very solid map from them at the moment.
What I will say about the wooden spoon is at least it's practical, right? Like when you come first, all you get is a big trophy. Like you can't really feasibly drink anything out of that. Like you can't really use that as like a cup, right? But no, a wooden spoon, very, very versatile implement.
Guns are also pretty useful, and Hysterics uses his to drop Pat. Yeah, spoons are pretty good. I mean, there's a bakery on Cafe. Maybe the loser can go make some cupcakes and fill the stalls, but Hysterics is filling his frag account. It's 9-3 at the moment.
Jesus.
Wildcard need to try and retake above and find a pick, but again, that's easier said than done.
3.0 KD now for Hysterics. He has been the undisputed MVP of APAC. Oh my god, there's another one, Silex. What are you doing? Hysterics pops double digits, just 6 rounds in, and Emorin's taking damage as well as he retakes the top floor. This is a guns blazing attempt from Wildcard, as there is no chance Emorin escapes alive. Hey Vinny, can you just 1v5? Yeah, thanks mate.
Well, he gets 1. Still 4 left to go. I don't know. I reckon he's going to get a few here. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say Vinny can get 3 in this round before he gets shut down. Oh, it was almost 2. But Speakeasy is too good. And Giants will claim match point.
And a game that we thought may well have been close has turned out to be the most one-sided affair of the day. Giants, 6 rounds in a row, claim match point over Wildcard. These 2 legendary teams, and this historic match will go down in history as a moment where Giants may just reclaim their pride and avoid that bottom placing on the standings.
Well, let's see where this potential last round will play out. It's going to be a reading room and a fireplace from Wildcard. Silex as well, 6 picking off the smoke onto a Rooney and bringing the Suya Gates
attackers need to locate and defuse as
to the
many
table.
bombs as they can.
Just an additional piece of utility that the Giants will need to contend with. But on most occasions, right, it hasn't even come down to site play. On most occasions, the Giants are really efficient in clearing out any extensions, any roams, and by the time anyone's near the site, it's a 1-on-5 or a 2-on-5, whatever the case may be. So I'm not sure exactly how much of an impact that utility might have, at least on site, maybe on the extension, but Wildcard needs to try and bring out something real quick.
And take a step back for a second, guys. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because I feel like losing this game for Wildcard and being bottom on the standings weighs less than Giants losing this and being on the bottom of the standings. I think we look at Wildcard and they look at themselves and they say, look, we were dealt a rough hand this season. Diesel was unfortunately unable to play last minute. We couldn't get in a proper sub. We just had to have our coach play. And so we can kind of write off the season. We gave it a crack and then we'll go back to the drawing board with our new fifth. If Giants lose and come last place, they can't just point to something and say, look, this is the cause. Look, we had a sub. No. This is the same 5 players and coach that did so amazingly through APAC North last year. Yeah. And I think that the loss for Giants, it just weighs so much.
Yep, I would have to agree. But I guess the end result really for both these teams is kind of the same. They're going to be on a big back foot when it comes to global standings for the rest of the year and maintaining their position in the league. Outside of that, though, some early round aggression here from the Giants. Luna with the skeleton gear getting to work over towards Engine. Hysterics to get the opening pick onto Silex. And again, it's falling apart off site here for Wildcard.
Nice tease of a rush early on from Giants, but like you say, they keep some attention offside. Hysterics, 12-3. 4 kills for every death he has had this round. A C4 goes out to meet the Yana, but Ysera is safely repelling.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
As Jordan is injured, this perhaps is an opportunity for Wildcard, but Speakeasy shuts down that flank attempt from Emo. Pat and Geo to hold on against the full force of the Singaporean Giants. Hysterics, hungry and desperate for more after the worst season they have ever had. All that remains is a desperate grasp of pride, and it comes with a bang. Wildcard are the victims of the Giants. A flawless round to close the inaugural season of APAC South.
Well, Speakeasy said it himself in the old chat. We're back. It's something. It's better than nothing. And a quick game's a good game. 7-1 in the end from the Giants. It's been a less than ideal stage 1 for them, but at least they ended on a good note. And there you go. That is right. We did talk about that.
These teams are playing SI.
They're going SI. The bottom 2 teams in APAC South are going to be at 6 Invitational.
It's unbelievable.
They just love it.
I just can't believe that, man. Like, not even Elevate qualified for 6 Invitational. And there it is. Giants may have redeemed themselves. I think there's still a long way to go for them. And they will set their sights on both SI and Stage 2. But for sure, this is some redemption. A sigh of relief. Losing to Wildcard may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but they stand tall and win 7 rounds in a row when it is needed.
I think I've worked it out, Dev. The Giants have played the 5,000 IQ Gigabrain strat.
Don't say it.
Of saving strats in APAC South
Don't
for
say
6
it.
Invitational.
No.
I've worked it out.
No. Please, just don't ever say that again, guys.
I don't know.
The saving strats meme is so 2019.
Watch
bro.
your back. Watch your back. International teams, the Giants, they're coming for you.
Look, yeah, now that you mention that, I'm kind of scared for APAC's chances at SI, considering that the 2 of the 4 teams representing APAC and SI are, the bottom 2 teams in APAC South. But, we'll see how that goes ahead when it happens. But for now, we do have to have a moment to acknowledge Giants and the end of their Stage 1 journey. Of course, they did not qualify for the playoffs, but they did escape that bottom place.
Yeah. Look, it's, again, they made something good out of a bad situation at the end of the day. They were expected to beat Wildcard, and they finally did get an expected win over the line. Now is a great opportunity for them leading into SI and Stage 2, go back to the drawing board, work out what is going wrong. Because if they haven't worked that out by now, that's important that they do. Just take the time, let the emotion get out of the way of everything, look at everything subjectively, work out what's going wrong, and try to amend it as quickly as you can. And who knows, maybe they can bounce back and be a dominant force once again in APAC.
This is the first step in their tale for redemption, and you know who else may well have redeemed themselves? Manic, you were right. It was a convincing one for Giants.
Yes, it was. I guess Manic got something right for once. I can't believe it either. I think even Manic is shocked too. I said 7-3. It was 7-1. Close enough. I'll take that one. Most importantly, I'm not 0 for the night. I got one tip right to close out the season finally. But boys, Raven, I'll go to you first. As always, my trusty right-hand man. In the end, Wildcard checked out probably one game earlier than Giants.
Yeah, look, it was a very rough effort from Wildcard. They started off with the bang. They got round number 1, but that was it. Reverse sweep.
One and
7
done.
rounds after that. One and done. But look, I think for them, it was always about just getting through stage 1, getting to this point right now where they can start focusing on stage 2, figuring out what they're doing with this roster. Silex, I'm sure, would probably be itching to go back to just being a coach after the last few weeks. So yeah, I think that was pretty obvious. But for Giants, obviously, they want to be figuring out similar things, but probably just more so what is going wrong, and they're going to try to fix that for SI, as Guz and Dev alluded to. They have that coming up, and that's not too far off.
It's just around the corner, it feels. But firstly, what am I redeeming from? I have been on point, okay? I will say that. Not really. It's been a terrible season from me in terms of predictions. But what I will lean into is not so much Wildcard's issues, but maybe Giants bouncing back. I guess that, this is a tough one to talk about, because you would say that Wildcard, for all intents and purposes, are just looking for stage 2 and have been really since probably round 5 now, when they really seem to have lost the wind, the gusto behind them. Still, we can hold firm that now we have Giants on the tail end of the season taking a strong performance. That's the key factor for me, I think. Once again, Hysterics doing Hysterics things. I want to say that's the good sign, but it seems to be the really good sign for Giants throughout the entirety of stage 1.
Yeah, let's go and have a chat, of course, with the victors from Giants. It's going to be Gig. Congratulations on the win, but of course, there's more important things ahead. You've got SI, you've got stage 2. What's the plans right now over the next couple of weeks to sort of revitalize the team?
To be honest, we started after the losses against QC and 7. After those 2 losses, we saw that as a team, it's just really not working what we're doing right now. And we made some big swaps, which on Tuesday we started with like a big few roll swaps and attack mainly. And it actually worked. We played a lot better as a team on Tuesday. Just unfortunate, but the game went the other way, and I think we're a bit unlucky to lose that game. But still not to the performance we want, obviously. But then today, we played as a team, everyone did the job, everyone played well, a lot better. And now going forward, it's just making sure that we keep building up consistency to be able to play like we did today in every game, really. And especially at Invite, playing a lot of games, we've got to make sure that we don't get off to a slow start and don't underperform like we have this season. But yeah, a lot better right now.
Yeah, I mean, alluding to that, you do have a big target ahead of you with SI. I mean, your focus will shift to that, but what exactly in maybe your preparation might change? Is it just business as usual for you guys, or is there going to be a special amount of prep or a special boot camp or anything like that?
Just really like working on my map and improving. We've not played Cafe all season, and we knew that today we might play it, but we've been putting a bit of work on it. We haven't played it in a while actually in an official game, but yeah, I've been putting work on it, and today, straight off the bat, first time playing it, I'm really happy with it. So yeah, just keep doing that with every map, making sure we're as prepared as possible at Invite to play whatever map, play whatever team we go up against.
Okay, I was going to ask and lean into the whole, like what's going wrong, what are you working on? But it seems like you've already answered that. You've changed a couple of things around. So I'm going to ask the really important question, the hard-hitting question here. Have you been saving strats for SI? Is that what stage 1's been about for you, Gig?
I'd love to say so, but yeah, unfortunately not. we had a few big, mainly communication within the team. That was like the heart of the problem, really. And we worked as a team and individually to try and do more to fix that. And today that wasn't a problem at all. And Tuesday it was much less of a problem. So yeah, it's getting better. That is the root of all the problems. And we've had a few tactical issues which are easy to fix. But yeah, this communication problem has been the big overhanging thing, and it hurt us at the start of last year, but we overcame it quite quickly. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it this season, but yeah, we've just got to make sure that these issues don't creep back in. Invite next stage and stage 3, and we'll be at our best very soon.
Well said, mate. Any final shout-outs to close out stage 1 for you guys?
Not really, just thanks for the guys who've stuck with us, keep supporting us. We know it's not what you want to see, us getting beat mostly every week, and we know that we want to be winning games for you and perform better. And all I can say is sorry we haven't done, and we're going to make sure that we the next stage at Invite and whatever, we put up a good showing and we play a lot better.
I know that you guys will bounce back for stage 2. Best of luck for the future SI stage 2 onwards.
Thanks, cheers.
Sleeping Giants right now are taking a bit of a nap, Raven, but you do have to be wary of them, right? You can't take them for granted. Going in forward, and we'll keep it APAC South orientated here. Going forward into stage 2, they are still going to be a big threat, and if anything, you would almost expect them to bounce back, right?
Yeah, seriously do. And I know it's something I've been saying almost every Playday when I've talked about Giants is they just have such a talented roster, and they had been in such hot form last year. It really feels like it is the classic just team slump. Something's happening. It's got to be fixed. And it feels like just in a matter of time, they'll be back up and about, and they'll be a force to be reckoned with. We saw a bit of that in this match. I know Wildcard were probably not the strongest of opponents in the current state, but regardless, that looked very dominant from the Giants, and if things do click for them, they get the communication back on point and their roles are correct, I don't see why we wouldn't see them rise all the way back into being a top 4 team.
I mean, you just look at the names on that roster and you look at what they've done in the past. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to play devil's advocate. What if they're not up to par in stage 2? I hate to hit a somber note, but what if they aren't up to par in stage 2? What if they're not up to par in SI? These are the things that we do have to consider. But at the same time, you do want to give credit where credit's due. There are a couple of players on that team, Speakeasy and Hysterics, that have really shone in stage 1, regardless of the scoreline.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs from you, Manic. I'll say that very much. You just love your ifs and if ends, buts, maybes, potentiallys, the either ways, the 50-50s. That bus just goes right over you. Let's go and recap tonight's results as they have played out in what was a bit of an unfortunate night, Raven. We were hoping for a little bit more. 7-3, 7-3, 7-3, 7-1. All stomps, all one-sided affairs, and yet the first 3 of them all started off as I think 3-3 halves.
Yeah, seriously, the first half of every game was so tight, and then it was just, I don't know what happened.
Over.
Everything just went, it was over. Yeah, seriously, we just faded away. It's such a shame. Tonight had such a big promise to have some heavy hitting, overtime, really deep, gritty matches. I'm not overly disappointed. I think there were still some very exciting matches, and it did answer a lot of questions for us. I think the biggest one, of course, was who was going to be crowned the APAC South stage champion. And Elevate winning that convincingly really showed us that, of course, it is Elevate.
Yeah, it's just been such a strange night. I really had hoped for so much more. I'd hoped for overtimes. I'd hoped for potential upsets, but it just really, it's really been the Knights of the favourite in all my honesty. In all my thoughts, I think that. Although Knights came into this in good form, I know you were leaning into them, mate. But I'm sorry, Xenox. Yeah. Elevate were definitely, in my eyes, the superior of the two. Maybe not a 7-3 superior. Okay, I will say that. I thought that had to have been overtime. But regardless, I think that the results are clearly showing the performances from the teams that we expected.
Well, one thing's for sure, no one can claim that you have an OCE bias because of Elevate. We move on to what was once one of my favorite segments, now no longer. I've been dreading this since the Elevate Knights matchup, but yes, 18-10. Guz has gone and got all 4 right tonight to be outright first. Me and Dev down the bottom. I had a shocker of a night. Got all 3 wrong to start off until Giants at least gave me something to tie Dev in the end. But guys, look, I'll go to you for this one first, Manic, because you love your ifs and buts. But this is a night where the ifs and buts really could have changed the entire predictions. Like Order, Knights, QC. It's not like they were outlandish predictions.
No, butts don't lie, and QC very well could have backed it up. I think that Knights had well and truly a decent claim to the throne of APAC South after everything that we've seen from them. Honestly, it's just shocking how it's all gone down. I think you're a terrible predictor. Somehow I have gone 0-4 on 2 nights in APAC South, and I have still beaten you. How's the salt in that wound, baby?
Raven, you want to actually contribute to something here?
Yeah, look, I think I'm going to back you up in that. Tonight really felt like a very 50-50 night going in. I can see your approach with going very different to Guz, just so that if it goes all wrong for him, well, you can shoot ahead. But yeah, look, it was tough to predict. I thought about a lot of these for a while. I didn't think that it would be as standout as it was, but... This is what it is, and I think it's it really sums up stage 1. The beauty of APAC South has been that it's hard to predict. Everybody can beat everybody, and it's just an exciting region to watch. It's been fantastic.
I think it's the most exciting region to watch. You never know what you're going to get from APAC South, and that makes it exciting. Let's go look at the standings and see where the teams lay after stage 1. Elevate clear top by a good 5 points as well. And look at that round differential, the win-loss record. Everything says, Manic, that they dominated this stage.
Yep, and, it's hard to really back up what we were saying about Knights before, where they actually had a claim, because when you do look at that, there's no doubt in my mind, 14 points clear of the team underneath them. That really has shone quite brightly for Elevate. There was not a single overtime for them. They did everything cleanly. The only loss, granted, that's fine. To be honest, I think we just move on from that loss and cop it on the chin. But the big one is all the other teams. I mean, Knights with only 6+ round difference, Chiefs with only 5+, and then you look at the bottom end and it's just, wow, where did all these L's come from, Raven? I'm still catching up, but I really think that Elevate, especially like you're saying, Xenox, with that round difference, there is no question, there is no doubt they deserve to be there.
Totally. Elevate just very consistent. They did only lose that one game, but other than that, they were very consistent, very strong performers. I feel like in some ways, after the form we saw through most of the season, the standings ended up just kind of settling as you probably could have read. I think the biggest outlier was 7th Heaven. I felt like they had the slowest, more surprising uptick to make top 4. But outside of that, I felt like based on the form we'd seen from teams week to week or Playday to Playday, it feels pretty natural where it is right now. Of course, it's still surprising overall that Giants and Wildcard ended at the bottom, but that was just kind of the nature of their stage 1. And it felt like as the stage went on, it was more and more obvious that they were just simply out of form teams.
I have to agree with you both there. Let's wrap up the show, though, before we do that. Manic, Raven, I want final thoughts, because this is, of course, the end of the regular season. And just to, I guess, conclude on all of that, I'll go with you first, Manic, because we just heard from Raven, and we don't want to have to hear from him again.
Jeez, that's so right. You are literally the biggest bus I have ever seen, and the fastest moving one at that. There is bussing around. No, look, I think I'll speak from more of a talent perspective. This has just been the most entertaining and enjoying season. Enjoying? It's late. It's late. It's the most entertaining season that I have ever watched and ever been a part of. I really need to, stress that, but also just the opportunity to be a part of this has been incredible. So I'm looking forward to playoffs and looking forward to seeing what teams can do. But there's one thing that is for sure: there ain't no predicting APAC South.
Yeah, look, I pretty much echo that. It's been fantastic to cast and really fun to watch the first stage of APAC South in its current form. The inaugural APAC South in the way it is, which is really cool to see. And I'm really excited for the playoffs because we've now seen some really great performances from APAC South teams, and it's going to be fun just to see how that benchmarks against the Brethrens in APAC North.
Definitely, that is the most exciting part about the playoffs to come. Of course, the teams from APAC North, you've also got South Asia, of course, going to be battling against some of our APAC South teams that did qualify. Then you got the stage championship too. That's going to be exciting, but that is going to be the end of the APAC South regular season. Make sure you guys tune back in, of course, next week when all the playoffs are going to kick off. You won't want to miss it. It should be as tantalizing as this season was.